Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going over my Draftkings and FanDuel Week 3 NFL picks for Thursday Night Football. We have the Steelers going into Cleveland to face off the Browns. We have two below-average quarterbacks, two decent defenses. We got a pretty low total here. You could be looking at some running backs. We have a couple of talented running backs on the Browns. You got Najee Harris still, just with the touches that he gets, the volume, he's always going to be in play on Showdowns. So let's go ahead and talk about it. As always, if you enjoyed the videos, appreciate it if the like button, subscribe if you have not already. We will look at a Prize Picks video out for this game, also be out right after this one. But let's go ahead and get started. So, first thing on a Showdown slate, I always like to look at the snap counts from the previous week and also look at for the whole season. But looking at the odds, right, Super Bowl odds, the Eagles 9.3, like where they stand right now. But looking at the Steelers, we have them at 92% snap share for the season at wide receiver. If you look at just at week number 2, we have the Claypool played 92% of snaps. Deontay Johnson right behind him at 86%. He played 51, and then you have Pickens played 85. Nobody else really factored in much. You had the former Patriots wide receiver Olszewski play 8 snaps and 14%, but he's not really much of a threat there. So, you got 3 guys that are going to line up in 3 wide receiver sets the whole game. Tight end, you got pretty solid one in Pat Freiermuth, who's going to be looking at good amount of routes run. Gentry's there for some blocking. So for any of these 2 tight ends, you're basically just looking at Freiermuth. I don't have much interest in Gentry. And then running back is basically the Najee Harris show. Played 71%. Yeah, Jalen Warren mixed in a bit. Played 29%. And then looking on the other side on the Cleveland Browns, they only play 2 receivers a lot. They played a lot of 2 running back sets, and that's to be expected. I mean, they don't have a lot of great receivers. Cooper played 81. Donovan Peoples-Jones played 78. Then you had the rookie Bell play 30% of snaps. The running back, we saw Chubb have a costly 3rd touchdown, which if he didn't score, they could have run out the clock, but he ended up scoring. Missed point after, 2 touchdowns for the Jets in under 2 minutes, and voila, they are 1-1. This week, or last week, Chubb played 54%, Hunt played 46%. It was pretty even. And you know that they're going to line up in the backfield together a lot of the game. So they're both in play on a Showdown slate like this one. Looking at the pricing, Chubb is your most expensive guy by far. He's $12K in the flex. Nobody else is above $10K. So I do love to get to Chubb. It might be a little bit difficult to get to my captain unless you don't really care about using a lot of your salary there. But if I can go a little bit cheaper for like a Kareem Hunt who might not get as much love in the captain spot as Chubb, I will take it. The fact that Hunt has outscored Chubb at times in his Browns career, even in week 1, he had 23 fantasy points. He had those 2 touchdowns, whereas Chubb had 0 touchdowns. So it's still going to be a fluid situation in the backfield. Touchdowns are going to be hard to kind of nail down. It's just going to be who has a hot hand. And if a guy breaks off a big run and gets taken down inside the 10, they'll probably go to the other guy, just have him fresh. So it's a little bit of a guessing game, but for the price tag, I love Kareem Hunt. The quarterbacks, Brissett is my preferred option over Trubisky. Sometimes on Showdowns, you're trying to get to both quarterbacks. Those are like the first 2 spots that you plug in. On this one, with Brissett and Trubisky, I like getting to maybe one of them. I don't think you need to get to 2 of them, just because I am looking at the running backs more. Like, you can expect a lot of the touchdowns to come from Najee Harris, Chubb, and Hunt. And then the receivers, we have Deontay Johnson once again being a target machine for the Steelers, just like he was with Ben Roethlisberger. He has 22 targets, no touchdowns, but Steelers' offense isn't great. Touchdowns are always going to be kind of not really expecting Deontay Johnson to go out and score a touchdown every week, just based on the offense that they play in. Amari Cooper, he had a huge week 2 against the Jets after doing not much in week 1. So he's fine. I don't know. His price tag has come up. I still like getting to the running backs. I have more confidence in them than going to Cooper. I like Brissett more than Trubisky. Hunt looks awesome at 76. Freiermuth, just to get to a value that's pretty steady. He's not super cheap, but at $7K for a guy that's looking at 7 to 10 targets a week, you kind of look to him as a tight end play. You also have the Browns tight ends, Njoku and Bryant. We didn't look at their snaps, but Njoku played a ton of snaps at tight end last week. It's just a matter of getting those targets and getting those routes run. He played 63 snaps. He doubled the snap count of Harrison Bryant, even though Bryant had more targets than him. I still like getting to Njoku. He still has some upside. He had 5 targets last week, 3 receptions for $5,200. He looks solid. I like him more than Bryant if people are going to play Bryant instead, just looking at the snap counts. Pickens, rather get to the tight ends. He's good for tournaments, but I don't know. It's just he's going to be good in like situations where Trubisky can get in the ball. It's just that there are some mouths to feed in Pittsburgh, and Trubisky is not the best at really having receivers eat. Cade York and Boswell, both guys can probably be looking at a couple of field goal attempts in this one. Wouldn't be surprised. You have 2 solid defenses and 2 quarterbacks that might struggle when they're inside the red zone or inside the opponent's territory. So I could see both guys get some field goal attempts. I like York over Boswell. Just expect the Browns to win and score more points. You have Gentry at 3K. He got some snaps as a backup, but he didn't really put in any production. He's kind of a blocker. At David Bell, hope that he can get some passes, maybe get a touchdown. That's at $1,400, a touchdown would be awesome. At 32 would be great, but still you might need something else to go your way if one of these cheap guys ends up scoring, like we have seen on Showdowns where third string tight ends are scoring. Last week, Monday, the first touchdown was scored by the fullback for the Bills, who not many people have heard of. But looking at some builds, we'll start with a cheap one with Kareem Hunt at captain. He's 11-4 only. You're able to get to Nick Chubb. You're able to get to like Brissett if you wanted to start with some Browns. I didn't touch on the defenses, but I do like both defenses are in play this week. I would prefer the Browns defense just because they're at home. Trubisky on the road hasn't really shown me a ton. He did have that week 1 win, but last week their offense looked terrible for most of the game. And Browns defense is cheaper than the Steelers as well. They're $600 cheaper at 38. If we start off with something like this, we have 7K. If you want to get to Najee Harris to get to at least one Steeler, that's fine. And then you can even stack up the Browns, go with like a Cade York here. This one I definitely don't mind if you're looking at a Brown stack. This is kind of the way you could expect the game to go. Touchdowns come from Hunt and Chubb. Brissett maybe has some passing yards. Maybe he runs in one, or he's able to, just avoid those negative plays, interceptions, stuff like that. Harris maybe gets into the end zone, and that's like the only Steelers touchdown. And then you got York and the Browns defense in here as well. If you're not feeling Najee Harris, you can go down to like a Pat Freiermuth. That'll leave you with $2,800 left, so you're able to kind of jump up from Cade York. Maybe you put in Claypool. Not really big Claypool guy, but he's probably not going to be too popular. He's only $6,200, so he's cheap enough to take a flyer. If you want to play Njoku, tight ends I've always eaten on Showdown slates the last couple years, so you can go with these two. If you're not thinking about the Browns defense, you now have 56. You can put in like a Donovan Peoples-Jones. Once again, I am looking more heavily on the Cleveland Browns side. So this is definitely another build if you're looking at doing a 5-1 stack. If you wanted to do like a 4-2 or a 3-3, definitely something you can put in like Trubisky instead, and now you have 38 to put in the Browns defense. Still 5-1, but at least you're getting to the quarterback in this one. So that is one way with Hunt at captain. You're able to get to all the expensive guys. If you want to do one with Nick Chubb at captain, still get to Najee Harris. Still see if we can get to Kareem Hunt. You're probably going to have to forego the quarterbacks with this type of build. But there are some values at the bottom with like a Njoku at 52. You can put in the kicker and Cade York. And you have 52, take a flyer on Pickens for tournaments. That's fine. We can go down even further. Put in like Donovan Peoples-Jones. And now we can put in Boswell if you want to do that, or put in the Browns defense. So another build. Pretty running back heavy on this Showdown, I would say. I have more confidence in the running backs and the receivers, and that's pretty obvious just looking at what the players that are playing in this game. The final build will be one with Brissett at captain, just to get to quarterback, then can have a good game. He can run a little bit. If he happens to sneak one in, that'll be great for him at the captain spot, but still looking to build around guys that he might throw to, so Hunt out of the backfield can also get carries. Najee Harris to bring it back on the other side. $6,400 left. Put in like a Pat Freiermuth on another guy that will catch some passes for Pittsburgh. That's pretty affordable. We have 62 if we put in Njoku. We have 72. We will have a lot of salary left over. Want to see if we can get up to like Amari Cooper. We have 3K, so this is where you'd be looking at like Schwartz or David Bell at the bottom, or Gentry. See if we put in Trubisky. And now we can put in the Browns defense. This one, it would probably be very odd if this one happens to like take down a tournament, because you have the Browns defense, unless they happen to get like a touchdown, pick six or something like that, because we do have 3 Steelers in here. But at least you have the 3 guys that have the most likelihood of scoring and doing well, but probably not something I'll end up doing. But just breaking it down, top end, I like Chubb, Harris, Kareem Hunt. Quarterback, Brissett is my preferred. Out of these receivers, I would go Cooper over Deontay Johnson just for the more touchdown upside with Amari Cooper. Guys in the 6K range, Donald Peoples-Jones and Njoku, they stick out. Values, Cade York, even Boswell, Browns defense, David Bell at $1,400. And that's pretty much it. So in terms of core plays, love Kareem Hunt's price tag in the captain spot. He's probably a guy I'm looking to get in. Nick Chubb, just to pay off for both of these running backs. Najee Harris on the other side. And then for a value, like I mentioned, Cade York, just because I think he'll bounce back. I mean, he just missed that extra point, but it still wasn't really. That was definitely a reason they lost, but it was still the misplay by Chubb not going down. And you got to stop. The Browns defense has to not let the Jets score 2 touchdowns in under 2 minutes with no timeouts left. That's just inexcusable. But he definitely has upside. He has a strong leg. They'll let him kick long field goals, as we saw in week 1. So I definitely think he looks solid at that price tag. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Going with probably 4, maybe 5 Cleveland Browns. I think they will do very well. And I think Pittsburgh will struggle to score. So I'm not looking to get to too much of Pittsburgh side. That's it for DraftKings. Let's go ahead and look at FanDuel. So on FanDuel MVP, you have Nick Chubb at 16K. So he's the most expensive player on both sites. And that's nothing to be surprised about. Trubisky is more expensive than Brissett. That could be surprising. Najee Harris is cheaper than both quarterbacks. So once again, rather get to Najee Harris, rather get to Kareem Hunt for the values. Then you got Cooper and Deontay Johnson. They're both fine. I like Cooper more. I like Freiermuth's price at 10.5. And then you have lots of good options. You can go with the Browns defense at 9K. You can go with Cade York at only 85. Donald Peoples-Jones is 85. And then Njoku is 75. So lots of good cheap plays. So you're able to pay up for your MVP on FanDuel. And then you even have David Bell at 6K for like tournaments. But Chubb or even Kareem Hunt if you're looking to be sneaky. But for cash, you're always looking for the highest projected player. And that would be Chubb, then Hunt, Brissett at 14K. Put in a Cade York at the bottom at 85. Now you have $8,500 as well. You can put in Donald Peoples-Jones here. Actually, we're going to be very heavy. I mean, not Brissett. Instead of Brissett, we can go to Najee Harris here. Now we have $9,000, so you can put in the Browns defense. Feel pretty good about that. Or you can go down to like a Njoku here. Now you have $1,500 left if you're looking to get up to Chase Claypool. You can do that instead of Cade York. Or go with Boswell instead for a K more. I mean, that will be contrarian because I don't see him being too popular. We'll have 10K. It's going to be like Claypool. Looking to pay up for anybody. Instead of Najee Harris, you can put in Trubisky and still go down to the Browns defense. So that's something else you can look at. Values, like I mentioned, Cade York, Njoku, Bell, even Pickens at 75 for tournaments. Don't hate that. But in terms of core plays, building around the running backs, these 3 would be what I start with on FanDuel. And that's pretty much it for the video. Best of luck on the Showdown slate. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comments section. Check out Twitter, the website, that is in the description. Let's have a great week 3 starting tomorrow. Let's crush it this week. Looking forward to it, and I will see you all next time.